Now, it's quite important when we're streaming, folks, that you try and stay in the middle of your screen. Okay?
In the middle of the screen.
In the middle of your screen. The reason why, well, I'll show you the reason why. Share screen. This will actually no. It'll mess up the stream, so we won't do that. But you'll see it online if you decide to go online.
Okay, because from a Zoom point of view, they say you should only take up 1/3 of the screen off center.
Yes, but you see what I'm doing, Ted, is let me adjust you because you're a bit out of adjustment. If you go onto the live stream now, you'll see that we are in 3 boxes, one here, and one here. And because the boxes are, the sides are, what do you call it? Compressed, yeah, cut in. If you move like that, you can move outside of the area that's being broadcast, you see.
Okay.
Right, so we are live, we are ready to go. We have a background which we can accept. That's fine. I just need to find where. No, I don't want WhatsApp. Firebird, okay, I need to turn off notifications. That's what I need to do. Actually, no, if I do that and put that to there, then I won't get any notifications. Right, I've sorted that one. And move you out of the way. Right. Start as you mean to go on. Boom, 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 boom. Are you ready, Ted?
Yes.
Ready, Teddy, go.
Welcome, Toastmasters, would-be Toastmasters, listeners and friends. Welcome to this week's segment of the Talk Show for Talkers.
Let's start that again, Ted.
Let's start that again.
This week's segment doesn't make sense.
Yeah, you're right. Once it came out of my mouth, this week's episode. Sorry about that.
No bother, Ted. 3, 2, 1, go.
Welcome, Toastmasters, would-be Toastmasters, listeners and friends. You're very welcome to the Talk Show for Talkers on irishtalkers.com. And I'm hemisphere specific this week because we are coming to you via your own timeline. I didn't say good morning, good evening, good night. I have to be gender specific from the hemisphere point of view. Our email address is info@irishtalkers.com. You can find us on Facebook as the Talk Show for Talkers, and we welcome your comments, questions, and feedback, and indeed your evaluations. This is very important that you tell us what you need, what you want, and we will do our best to deliver. You can also listen to previous shows on our website, irishtalkers.com, and we also publish the Public Speaking Weekly. This is a roundup of links from the internet about Toastmasters, public speaking, confidence, leadership. Look for the newspaper link on our website. And my name is Ted Malamphy. I'm joined again this week by the smiling, competent, confident, persuasive Paul O'Mahony.
Well, listeners, I hope to persuade you this week by using a variety of styles of communication, mainly all to say how pleasant it is to be with you again.
And thank you, Paul. And we also have the smiling, competent, confident engineer of all things electronic and even things that fly up in the air, because this lady is not is she just a Zoom master, she is also a aerodrome master. What do you call that thing that you fly around more and we look up at while you control it from the ground?
You mean the quadcopter? The photographic quadcopter. Is it
called a quadcopter now?
Well, quadcopter is the correct name for it. It's the press that decided to call it a drone.
Oh,
but actually, strictly speaking, a drone is one of those automated aircraft that the Americans used to bomb Saddam Hussein and people like that.
All right.
And to take out terrorists.
And here I am thinking that a drone was a bee.
Well, Yeah, in one stage they are. Yeah, it's true.
Originally,
It's true.
yeah.
Yeah.
So welcome, as I mentioned earlier, to our Toastmasters listeners. And this week we have the usual lineup for you. I will be giving a thought for the week. Paul will be giving a word for the week. And between the three of us, Maura, Paul, and I, we will all be contributing to this week's show, which will be going out live tomorrow. Then you will hear us live Saturday, live Sunday, and live Monday. So you're in for a feast on this weekend. My thought for the week this week, and it's an interesting one, and I hope you like it. The way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing. A little bit like what I was doing there with a pregnant pause. The way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing. And that was given to us by the man who told us it all began with a mouse, Mr. Walt Disney.
We actually had something very similar to that recently, Ted, didn't we?
We did, Maura.
A similar quote, but just
you're certainly right.
Yeah, slightly different. But I totally agree. The road to tomorrow begins with one step, the first step.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I've been member, and I'm sure both of you have been members of groups where there was more talking than working being done.
Very much so.
Yeah, and I'm privileged to be a member of a group here in my own community called the Waterloo Renewal Group. And in our district, or our area, district, I suppose, since we're talking Toastmasters lingo, we are known as the all work and no talk, whereas other groups in our area are called the all talk and no work. Even though some of us in the group would dispute that, because I've been accused on many occasions of talking too much and doing too little. However,
this is so, Ted. I would never have guessed.
Thank you, Maura. You are so observant, and you are also so kind.
I know.
So, Paul, what is your word for the week?
Oh, no, not so quickly. You're not getting away with all that stuff. This whole idea that, everything, it's about time we got on and did something and stopped talking. That is what dictators have said the world over ever since Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan said, guys, stop debating whether we should go and attack Europe. Let's just go and murder the people there. Let's do it. He was against conversation. Every dictator in human history has been against talking. We've had enough of your talk, Ted Melanphy. We've had enough of your talk, Moira O'Brien. Hi, Paul, the dictator. Let's do things today, guys. Now, Toastmasters, Ralph C. Smedley would be turning in his grave. May the Lord be mercy to him and his followers. The key thing about this is that Ralph C. Smedley, the man who founded Toastmasters, believed in the power of talking. And here we have people in Toastmasters saying, let's just stop the talking and get on with the business. No, I tell you this much, whatever Walt Whitman said, right? He may have had, spent 25 years talking about the shape of Mickey Mouse's ears and finally said, guys, will we please just draw the blooming things? Fair enough, but let's fly the flag for talking. Let's make talk not war. Let's be in favor of universal peace, humanity, decency. Let's be in favor of Toastmasters, the place where you can talk. And there's only one thing that will stop you, and that thing is called a timer.
Interesting. Thank you, Paul. I just want to make one small correction in your utterances. I wasn't talking about Walt Whitney or Walt Whitman. I was talking about Walt Disney. He was the man who gave us that quote. I know you're a Walt Whitman fan. I know you're into poetry in a big way. But Walt Disney, the most famous of all the Walts, Paul.
You certainly raised a little bit of emotion in me during your presentation of the words of Walt Disney there, Ted. You certainly did. I had a little stirring of emotion, and I was trying to put my finger on what exactly was this emotion. And the word that came to me, perhaps it could be our word of the week, was a short 3-letter word. I-R-E. Ire.
Oh, you had me worried there for a second, Paul, before you got to the third letter.
Yeah. Nice one, Moira.
Well, let us not confuse the word I-R-E with the 3 letters that you use when you're addressing an envelope and want to send it to Ireland, and you put I-R-E.
I think Moira was thinking of a different letter.
So, look, the key thing is the word ire. You need it when people are really irritating you, when people are really getting on your goat, and you really have a welling up of emotion, because you need to be able to have a nice, short, sharp word, which will say, I'm going to let my ire loose on this guy, my wrath, my rage, my indignation, my anger, my fury. Ire stands for all of those. It's a synonym for all of those things. Intense anger. Now, it has nothing to do with ironing. Those of you who dislike ironing are not experiencing ire, although you may be experiencing ire. So ire, I-R-E, to be enraged. And you can say, oh, I'm going to take out my ire on Moira today. Way, she doesn't know what's coming her way yet. And as for Ted, he's a right irey. Anyway, we won't finish that
Paul,
sentence.
you're talking about emotion being evoked in you. What was evoked in me by your word ire? And I'm sure you can remember this. As a little boy, we were of the generation where we wore short pants until we were about 16. But when you got a new pants, it cut into your thighs. Not so much that it was too tight, but we used to call it ire, and you got a sort of an inflammation, and it was extremely sore. I never hear the word being used in that context now.
Well, I'd completely forgotten it, so much so that when I did get that rash recently on the inside, I didn't call it ire. But you're absolutely right. That may be an old form, could even be a Gaelic
yes, good
abbreviation, who knows? But the word ire is, you might, it's not a word that's used very often. I haven't heard anybody come to a Toastmasters meeting, for example, and say, you know what, I'm just full of ire this evening.
It's a fairly old-fashioned word, I think you'll find, really. It's not a word that would be really used regularly in the language these days, but it has its uses.
Is there a derivative it is?
Possibly. I would say irascible is a connected word.
Sounds like a nice one,
Yeah.
irascible.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you that the word entered the English language in the 14th century, and it comes from Middle English. It's a Middle English word, really. It's Anglo-French. It's from the Latin ira.
Yeah.
And of course, for those of you who are into your Greek, it also is a little bit like the Greek word for a gadfly or frenzy. And my Greek pronunciation isn't good enough for me to be able to pronounce those words in Greek. But just to tell you, it's a 14th century word. But I think you would arrest somebody's attention for a smidgen of a moment if you use that word.
That's lovely language.
Okay, that brings us to the end of this segment. Thank you all for listening. Come back again at the same time tomorrow for our next segment, which is going to be a talk on the mental health benefits of storytelling for healthcare workers. And it's very interesting. We'll look forward to seeing you then. Bye for now. Okay, so part one done. Well done, folks. That's
Well done. That
went
was
well.
nice. That was good.
It went easily, and good God, it's only 28 minutes past 3. Aren't we good? So let me just do the necessary on this. Let's put up the Audacity view. Oh, we're not getting the Audacity view. Why not? Let's see if it's...
Ted, while Moira's doing that, let me ask you a question, leading question. Maybe I should wait for this, but I won't. What's the most memorable name for a Toastmasters club you've ever come across in your entire life? The most memorable name?
That's a good question. Oh, I'd have to think about.
Actually, think about it. I'll ask you it when we get to my segment.
Okay, right. That's an interesting one.
Right. Think, yeah.
Paul, what about that game of golf? Did you go?
I did. I went
Did you get on?
Oh, very good. Except, do you see the color of my skin?
Yeah.
Sure, I was burned.
Sunburn, all right, you would.
I was silly.
It was a windy day, you see. You didn't have the factor on, maybe.
It was huge sun and wind and everything. Oh, no, I was very silly. But we went to Castlemartyr. We had a 4-ball and a 3-ball. And
there were 7 of you there.
There were.
And are the 7 of you going to join?
No, I think actually 1 or 2 came along afterwards as well. I think 6 are going to join. And
what kind of a deal are you getting?
Well, there's hello money of 2,000 up front. They've reduced that to 500.
Right, and then the membership.
And then it's 700 a year. So it's.
I'm going to put something across your bows here now that I think you should consider.
Yeah.
You should definitely come to Mallow and have a game of golf before you make up your mind about where you're going to join. Because it won't cost you anything like that to join Mallow. There's no sign-up fee.
Right.
And it's a fantastic course.
And tell me, as a matter of interest, how much is it a year?
I think I'm paying about 700.
Yeah, so it's...
But having said that, for new people, there's a deal for new members for 12 months. Which isn't bad. Yeah.
Well, that's very good. The only, I'd like to, may I please come and play Mallow with you someday?
Oh yeah, as soon as it is open to visitors, I'm going to bring yourself and Neil down to Mallow.
Oh, that would be fabulous.
I intend doing that, but at the moment it was supposed to reopen Monday for competitive golf, but on the night before, the GUI threw a spanner in the works and said, no, we're sticking to the schedule of the government. Why, I don't know. Because you're socially distanced on a golf course all the time.
The reason why there's no chance that the crowd of people I play with would go to Mallow is that a good number of them are actually south of the river.
Okay. So are they all from around Glenmire?
They're from further down. There's some of them from Carrigaline and.
Oh, Carrigaline. Sure. Yeah, because like you'll be in Mallow as quick as you'll be down in Castlemartyr.
There wouldn't be much in it. You're right.
No, there's not much in it. You're over on the Mallow Road. It's a grand road.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It would be.
But just for your own interest, we'll get you down to Mallow because you've never played Mallow. What about the other fellas? Some of those people would have joined or would have played Mallow, I'd say.
They might. Funny enough, we did a sort of trawl of all the clubs in Cork, but nobody mentioned Mallow.
As a matter of interest, how did you manage to get into Castlemartyr when it's supposed to be members only?
Well, we went to Castlemartyr not really to play golf. We went to Castlemartyr to look at the golf course in order to see if it would be a suitable place for us to join when it was possible to become a member. So the fact that we brought with us a bag of golf clubs as we were walking round, and the fact that some of us hit a golf ball from time to time, most of the time was spent looking at the golf course. Barely any time was spent hitting a golf ball.
That's the only way you'll decide whether it is appropriate for you or not. And as a matter of interest, how did you manage to get on the timesheet then?
Well, I wasn't involved in that now. The there was some way of, we had to give our GUI membership numbers in.
Yeah.
I don't know, Ted, actually, the technicalities of that. I don't know how that was dealt with. I just know that it was, in effect, what was arranged was for us to meet the course director.
Right.
A woman who seemed very much on top of her game. She was terrific. You know, they have a pro there as well.
The reason I asked you that question was that in Mallow, every day now there's a timesheet in Mallow from 8 in the morning up to 8 in the evening.
Right.
And that is filled for every day of the week.
At the moment, it's filled.
Yeah, every day of the week it's filled.
And
it's all members of Mallow. That's how, I don't even know. So we'll have to wait until they open her up to visitors before I can get you out. But we'll carry on here because that's a conversation that could take us ages.
That's most courses do that, don't they, Ted? Not that I'm an expert on.
Well, a lot of them would do it more for competitions.
Well, no, just for general bookings.
Well, no, because Mallow would have a competition Friday, Saturday, and Sunday under normal circumstances, and there's an open competition on Wednesdays.
Okay.
And there's a ladies' day on Tuesdays.
Mm-hmm.
That's the timesheet. But we say for a Monday now, you might have to put your name on a sheet, but that's only from the point of view of an organisation where people wouldn't all arrive at the same time.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay. Right. Let's go for part 2. Ted, are you ready to do your introductions?
I am.
Okay.
Wait, no, man, I have to get this up here. I will. Wait, no, I'll have to open the WhatsApp page there. So.
Yeah.
Can you still see me now as a matter of interest?
I can see you, yes. Why?
Oh, can you? Because I can't see you now because I'm looking at the WhatsApp page now.
Oh, I see. Now we can see you.
Okay. So are you going to bring us back in and I'll give the introduction, or do you want me to give the introduction and the...
I'll bring us back in.
And we're back in as well.
I'll bring us back in.
Okay.
Welcome to part 2 of the Talk Show for Talkers here on irishtalkers.com. And as usual, it's our time to introduce either an interview or a speech. And I'm going to hand you over to Ted to introduce this week's contribution.
And welcome again, Toastmasters. And it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you a lady by the name of Laurel Braitman. And she will explain herself exactly what she does. But this is a YouTube video, so you can watch on YouTube after you listen to it. And this explains the mental health benefits of storytelling for healthcare workers. So she's done research on this. It's interesting, but I think it's also interesting from our point of view as Toastmasters, because when you tell stories and when you create laughter and intrigue, not alone are you a storyteller, you are also a healer, you are also a rabbi, a priest, a counselor, a psychologist, because when you get people's interest and get people interest in something that you're talking about, this is an interesting talk that this lady gives on the power of storytelling. And the lady's name, as I mentioned at the start, is Laurel Braitman. So enjoy this.
Okay, thanks, Ted. That was a bit longer than I anticipated, but it's not too bad.
I think it's under 10 minutes, Mark.
It's just under 10 minutes.
Just under 10. Yeah, so that's why you kind of took a bit of liberty there with the introduction.
You did. So that actually, we'll just do an outro and
okay.
No discussion.
And on to the next part then?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, before we do that, I always forget to do my housekeeping before we go on to the next bit. Okay. Right. Outro. You going to do the outro, Ted?
I will.
Yep. 3, 2, 1, go.
And I hope you all enjoy that offering by Laurel Braithman. And if you find that this was interesting, or if it piqued your interest, or if you have something to say, please do contact us, because we like to mix and we like to listen to your point of view. As I said, this is where we get the inspiration and the information to be able to deliver it back to you as you like it. So thank you for listening to that particular episode.
And we'll see you again tomorrow, when we'll be bringing you the next episode at the same time. And Paul will be talking about... What are you going to be talking about, Paul?
Paul will be talking about the character of your Toastmasters International Club, which I think is a great topic.
That is.
Because most clubs have become international. In fact, there's one club that I visit, not my own club, and I've referred to that particular club as Toastmasters United Nations.
Indeed.
Because they have people from all over the world. And it's incredible. Fantastic mix.
We'll see you tomorrow at the same time. Bye for now. Well, you realise that Blarney Toastmasters is about to become international? Ted?
Oh, I think it is, Moira.
We
had our first member signing up the other night, Paul's friend.
Yeah, well, they haven't signed up. They haven't signed up yet, but they are likely to. And Michael is interested. So
I was wondering who that was. I saw Michael on the screen, but there was no video shot or anything.
No, he didn't come on screen at all. But he is interested.
Who is he?
I don't know. I don't know anything about him.
Oh yeah, I thought you were in touch with him or something.
Well, he has emailed. I haven't responded to it yet, though. I haven't had the time.
Yeah. What about that lady Caroline Gray, who we've been waiting for ages?
She's going to join.
That's brilliant. Do you know why she was there the other night, Mara? I actually emailed her.
Yeah.
When I saw her name in there as a visitor, I said I'll reach out to this lady.
Okay.
She's actually she lives in Tower.
Yes.
And she was smiling all the way through the meeting. She obviously enjoyed it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay.
She's a lovely cat, Paul.
Yes, I'll be back in a second.
Yeah, my cat thankfully is not around, because when she is she's asleep. She's in her bed.
Would they be scratching of the screen?
Well, no, but she comes on my desk and wants to have a bit of love, and she crawls all over the keyboard, over the mixing desk, over my laptop, and anything, and she causes mayhem.
A communications expert, so.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Because I cause that kind of mayhem in this house all the time when they get remote controls and things in my hand.
Yeah. Let's see. Do we have anybody? We have. I don't know. Are either of you two on the stream?
No,
we have.
I am.
We have. You're on the stream, are you, Ted?
Okay. I didn't. You mean the YouTube screen?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know about that. I can't see myself.
No, we have two people watching.
Oh, that's good.
And we did have three, I noticed, but
we're after losing 33% of our audience.
And then we went down to one.
Oh, for God's sake.
Anyway, if you are watching, do leave us a comment. I am keeping a little bit of an eye out on the chat. So if you want to pass a comment, I will endeavour to reply.
Excellent.
Right, so I think we're ready to go with part
3.
So I'll bring this one in, I think.
Oh.
Let's try and start in the right place. Recording, track 3. Okay. Stop that. Off. Start again. Welcome to part 3 of this week's talk show for talkers on irishtalkers.com. Let me just remind you of our Facebook page, which is the Talk Show for Talkers. And you can also find us on Tinternet as irishtalkers.com. Our email address is info@irishtalkers.com. And do have a look at our website, because we do have our archive for the last nearly 6 whole years. It's amazing, isn't it? We've been going for that long. And you can listen back to past episodes. For the last 18 months, we've been on podcast only, but before that, we were also available on Irish Radio International as an hour-long episode. Okay, it's now the time to pass the metaphorical gavel over to Paul Amani. And Paul is going to talk to us today about the character of our Toastmasters International Club. Paul, over to you.
If you were thinking about joining an organization you didn't know an awful lot about, what would influence you? Would you be influenced by how much money it costs to join? Would you be influenced by whether you knew somebody who was already a member beforehand? Would you be influenced by some other consideration? Well, of course you would. It gets a lot easier to go and join an organization if you know somebody who's in it already. An awful lot easier if you can afford to be a member. What about what kind of character you think the organization is like? What about its brand? What about the feeling that it gives you? Would you like to be associated with that organization? Would that give you a good feeling that you were, attached, and that it said something about you, that you felt worthy to be received as a member, and that you considered the people in that organization to be worthy of your attention? Would that make a difference to you? In other words, what influence would character have on it? Now, if you were like me and you wanted to land in a place like Sheffield, for sake of argument, and you said, right, I think I'd like to go and see if there's some people who it would be good to communicate with, and I'm pretty interested in leadership and business. I run a business, or I'm a team leader or something like that. Let me have a look, and you come across an organization which is called Sheffield Communicators. Let's just call them Sheffield Communicators. What does that tell you about the character of that organization? Well, it tells you it's local, doesn't it? It tells you it's in Sheffield. It tells you you're likely to meet people from Sheffield there. But what else does it tell you? Doesn't tell you very much, does it really? Just tells you it's Sheffield. That may be good enough for you. Now, let me give you another example. What happened if you were land in a place and you look up and you say, I want to go to something, and it says Hellfire Speakers. What does that tell you? It tells you, I don't quite know where the meeting will be, but I can see that they have an address in Sheffield, right? Hellfire Sheffield. Would that suggest to you that it would be a quiet place ideal for people who are shy? Ideal for people who'd like a nice, quiet, take their knitting along and listen to the proceedings. Would somebody like that go to the Hellfire Club? Of course not, because the name would give you an impression. The name would put certain people off and would attract other kind of people who say, oh, whoopee, a bit of life and energy. Great, let's go have a rousing evening. In other words, does the name matter? Do you think that it makes any difference what your club is called in terms of its ability to attract visitors, its ability to attract potential members, its ability to be influential in the local community? If you're Sheffield Speakers, what are your chances of influencing Sheffield, since everything else in Sheffield is called Sheffield XYZ? But if you're Sheffield Hellfire Raisers, do you think you might have a better chance of getting a letter in the local papers or getting a bit of publicity? Of course you do. The name matters, and you know it. Now, let me draw into this conversation here Ted Melanfi, a man of immense experience in Toastmasters. Ted, of all the names of all the clubs you have been aware of over the years, what name in Toastmasters is most memorable to you? The most memorable Toastmasters club name that you've ever heard?
I know you asked me that earlier, Paul, and I'm still thinking, but
I tell you what, Ted, I have to let you off.
okay.
You've had about 15 minutes, let's say, to think of the answer, and you can't remember a single memorable Toastmasters Club name. That makes a certain point. Let me go across to Moira O'Brien, who has an advantage over you in that she's forgotten more club names than she's ever heard of. So, Moira, what is the most attractive club, Toastmasters Club name that you've ever heard?
Well, there are a myriad of different names. One that
I only want one.
one.
Maura,
Okay, well, I'll
this is
give you one of my
tabletop.
clubs, Lee Valley Speakers.
You think that's a very attractive name?
Well, it says what it is. It's a speakers club, and Lee Valley is a fairly wide area. It's not a specific town. It's an area that hopefully will encompass a wider group of people interested than just saying the town of Macroom.
Yeah, superb. It's absolutely brilliant name. It's a brilliant name for some purposes. Absolutely. And I'm sure somebody thought it was a great name. Otherwise, it wouldn't be the name of the club.
Indeed.
There's in Cork City, in the area that I've been the area director of for the last year, there's only one club with a memorable name. Well, there's a special case. Blarney's a special case because Blarney Stone is known the world over, and I could see arguments about that. But the only other club that has got a name that has any claim to be memorable is Talking Heads.
Yes.
Talking Heads is memorable because back in certain days, Talking Heads, the band, were incredibly well known. You at least might be able to think, oh, yeah, Talking Heads. But the key thing, Moira made the point incredibly well, the key thing that people naturally think of in Toastmasters really is to place their club, give it a geographical name. It's in the Lee Valley. Blarney is in Blarney, a little village outside the centre of Cork City. But I went through all the clubs in Division 71, and there are only a very small number of them that don't have place names and that might at least be memorable for some reason other than the name. Fáilte Club. Mm-hmm. Now, to Irish people, the word fáilte means welcome. To some people, it means nothing. But at least it says we're a welcoming club. There's a chance that you might get a welcome there.
Let me give you one here, Paul. First Class Speakers. Now, I've no idea where in the world First Class Speakers are. It's an international Toastmasters club. But doesn't that say something?
It does, as does the name Uncensored Speakers. That
Yes.
gives you a sense of uncensored speakers. There's one called Godiva Speakers. Well, that could be interesting to go to. You perhaps might need to dress in a certain way to be welcome as a member in the Godiva Club.
I think Godiva is a corporate club, Paul.
Right.
In Godiva chocolates.
Yeah. White Rose Speakers. Here's some ones for you now. You can tell me. Powder Mills is not a place. That's a name. Phoenix, Tara is a place, but Phoenix Viking Voices, G-Toast UK, I haven't a clue what that is, Elder Gate, Eblana Society, Accentuators, Strip Masters, that's a good one, I don't know what that means, Engineers, Power Talk, The West's Awake, Crossroads Communicators, Cornerstone Communicators, Vox Populi, Cogito. Anyway, the key thing is that they are almost the entire clubs that have got names that might say something memorable other than their geographical location. I sent a short letter to Pat Short a couple of days ago. Pat Short and John Kenny are a comedy team in Ireland. And they're known as Dunbelievables. D''UN Believables, right? And what I did is I said, as the incoming division director for Cork, for Toastmasters, I'm interested in finding out who owns the copyright to the name Dunbelievables.
Interesting.
You can see where I'm
Yeah,
going
I can
now.
see where you're going, yes.
And I said, the reason I'm asking this is that I'm exploring the possibility of setting up a new Toastmasters club in Cork called Dunbelievables. Unbelievable Toastmasters. And to make sure it's understood cross-culturally around the world, I will call it the Unbelievable Toastmasters Club.
Yeah.
So this is my very first essay into what I might be doing next year as a division director, but this is the key thing, looking for names.
Yeah.
Now, that means that there might well be an opportunity to become a dual member, Ted, in the Golfing Toastmasters Club, specially designed to attract members from golfers and aspiring and retired golfers.
Excellent. Mm-hmm.
It might also be called the 19th hole, but we'll maybe keep that for the website. But what do you think, Ted? It's also a special place where everyone who aspires to become captain of a golf course, a golf club, can practice their speech making in the 5 years prior to them becoming the golf club captain.
And there's an opportunity there for Toastmasters as well as people who play golf.
Well, the key thing is that the club will make it completely clear that, if you find golf offensive, this may not be the club for you.
And on that offensive note to all golfers, we'll call this segment to a close and invite you to join us again tomorrow when I shall be talking about, what will I be talking about? Vocal variety. That's an ever-present topic. See you then. Bye for now.
Well done.
Hey, you ran over again, Paul, by
I know.
a good... I don't know why I bothered to put the timing up.
Yeah.
Only 2 minutes, but I generally cut a minute out of pauses anyway, so...
Yeah. Paul, a question for you too, along the same line as Moira said you might have run over time there. Do you read the chat when you're on Zoom?
Always.
Do you? Because I sent you a message the other night 3 or 4 times letting you know as the general evaluator that Rona was the grammarian. And you didn't seem to be picking up on it at all. And
no, I picked it up.
And eventually I sent one to Eddie O'Mahony, which he didn't pick up on, and then I sent it to Rob. I asked Mary Walsh, who made the decision to make Rob co-host the other night, because he has never done that before.
Well, Ted, to go back to the key thing,
yeah.
I did see what you said, right?
Okay.
I was also aware that something had gone wrong in the background. The person who was the last-minute grammarian was in no way connected with the word of the day, which was on the agenda.
That's an interesting one. No, that's something that our Toastmaster missed.
Well, I didn't miss it, I tell you.
Yeah.
The key thing is I was trying to say to myself is, first of all, I'm not embarrassing the grammarian by reminding them that their word of the day was this. Secondly, I didn't know if that grammarian was really going to do the role.
Oh, I know, but if you had been in
I did not want to put her on the spot and saying, and now for the grammarian's report, because I hadn't heard from her.
Yeah.
She hadn't said at the beginning of the meeting. And I thought, what is Blarney doing? This is not very professional, guys. This isn't the way we used to do it.
I agree with you, Paul, but you see, had you been in at the start, you would have discovered that. Because there was a conversation at the start. For instance, I was chatting to Rob.
You mean before the meeting started?
Yeah, before the meeting started, because I was chatting to Rob.
Oh,
I
yeah.
know he had asked Rob by email in the afternoon, would he take on the role of grammarian? No, he didn't get back to me, but I knew he was going in to Mary's thing at 7 o'clock. So I went on at 7:30, and when I asked him again, he said, no, he said, I'm not really prepared for it, but I'll do it if you wish. I said, no, forget it, because Rona had volunteered to jump into any role that we needed her for. So I didn't actually get on to Rona until 5 minutes to 8. But having said that,
Well,
the Toastmaster, Neil, should have been looking at the agenda.
Yeah, of course. You see, and I didn't want to embarrass Neil. I realized that this whole thing about the grammarian hadn't gone properly. I was debating with myself whether I would come, because the audience wouldn't realize this.
Yeah.
I was debating with myself whether I'd completely ignore the grammarian.
Right, okay.
The grammarian wasn't introduced at the beginning of the meeting.
Yeah.
The grammarian didn't say what their role was. If the grammarian didn't say what their role was at the beginning of the meeting, they have no business giving a report at the end.
Well, what happened was, Neil, as the Toastmaster said, we don't seem to have a grammarian. No, I was furiously sending messages to Eddie and to Rob, and neither of them, can they contact everybody then, Maura, when they're only nominated as co-host and host? Can they contact everybody?
Yeah, it's because, well, no, I don't know. I can't remember. No.
I know what the problem was.
Yeah, but Ted, I wouldn't worry about it. We only have one more meeting on that platform.
Yeah, I know that, but it is embarrassing because
it is embarrassing.
Paul said it didn't look as if we were organised.
Well, the whole thing, Paul, Ted, I don't want to go into it on air, but there will be changes.
Oh, yeah, sorry about that.
There will be changes next month.
Yeah.
Forgot about that. That we're on air, actually.
Yeah, but it is important. Live. It is important. If you're, for listeners, people who do listen back to this live stream, it is important that you do have a Zoom master who knows what he or she is doing, is able to mute people and pay attention to who is muted, who is unmuted, because it can be exceedingly distracting when people are unmuted and don't realise it, and they may. Yeah. We all do it. It's very easy to do by accident.
Paul, if you don't mind me saying, you did something the other night that was quite distracting, actually. You were walking around your own house with your phone in your hand.
Yes.
Instead of turning it off. Everybody was intrigued as to know what you were doing. I passed a comment that I was afraid you were going to fall down the stairs.
But again, Ted, what should have happened there is the Zoom master should have turned Paul's camera off.
Video off. Yeah.
And then invited him to turn it on again.
Yeah.
And then
there was something happening that nobody
apparently we knew that. We
knew that, Paul.
Something dramatic.
Yeah. But if I have to get up, I turn my video off.
And that's what should be done.
So. So my video is now off.
What do you think was happening?
Well, we knew there was something dramatic in the house. You weren't chasing the black cat, were you?
No, seriously, I'm not joking now. What do you think was happening?
No idea.
I thought somebody left the tap on in a bat or something like that, and the water was coming in, rippling along your toes.
No,
that's what I thought it was.
Nothing like that. I was the general evaluator, and I had to say something, right? My phone had 1% battery left on it. I had nowhere I could find anywhere to charge it.
Connection. Yeah.
There was a major risk. It's a bit like a plane crash about to happen. There was a major risk that I was going to disappear in the middle of being general evaluator. So I was faced with, if I even turned my video off,
you would never get back on again.
I was afraid that I wouldn't get back in on mine. Yeah. So I had to make a choice I came within 2 seconds, because 2 seconds after I finished speaking, my phone died. It died. Now, I'd had a nightmare of a meeting because for the very first time ever in this house that I can remember, except in the middle of a major storm, the broadband collapsed. A whole house went. It all had to be rebooted, and I had to reboot it twice. I had to move from my laptop to my mobile phone.
Right.
That was problem number one, because I had to boot up my mobile phone.
Yeah.
Then I found myself with a mobile phone in which the battery was dropping just like that.
Right.
So it was lucky I was able to do any general evaluation at all.
Interesting. Yeah.
And just one little thing, so that we finish the thing. How come you didn't have an evaluator?
Yes, I was puzzled by that, Ted.
That's an interesting. Well, here you are. No, you're asking me questions that are very pertinent, right? Eddie O'Mahony.
You don't have to name names. Don't name names.
Okay, yeah. I had an evaluator, and we had an evaluator for the first speaker. At 10 to 8, my evaluator sent me a message. My mum has taken ill. I won't be at the meeting. Now, according to that particular project and project 4, if you read the project, what it says is that it's a 2.5 to 3 minute speech. And for the project to succeed, you must get it signed off by your EVP. Now, I can't get it signed off by the EVP because I am the EVP, but I submitted it to Mary, our president, and I sent her on some of the blogs that I had done previously as well.
Okay,
So
Ted.
that's what that criteria was.
Yeah.
And
So why is there an
this.
evaluation form for it? There's a general evaluation form, a normal evaluation form for
There
that
is,
speech.
yeah. If you do the 5 to 7 minute speech,
No,
I did a 3
no,
minute.
Ted.
speech.
This is for the 2 to 3 minute speech. Evaluation form: write a compelling blog. Speech length 2 to 3 minutes.
Well, what I was looking at on project 4 was that it was a 2 to 3 minute speech. 2 to 3 minute speech.
That's right.
And
2 to 3 minutes.
the project was to be written off by the EVP. No, I couldn't write it off, the EVP.
Well, obviously, but it should.
Well, hold on a while, Maura. No.
But according to the evaluation, I mean, all I'm looking at is the evaluation resource, nothing more.
Guys, the only interesting thing, I mean, I know there's lots of details about this, but the key thing is that when people go to a Toastmasters meeting and they do something,
This is the project that I sent on to Mary.
right, yeah.
No, I thought Mary would be asked by our Toastmaster to explain what the project is, and Mary would have given this, but she wasn't given the opportunity. Once he said there was no evaluator.
Well, the key thing is the key thing is really that I found myself, a general evaluator. You find that a club is getting somebody to do something without it being evaluated.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, it doesn't.
Yes, I know what you mean.
It's not valid. You can't make a speech without it being evaluated. Otherwise, it can never count for anything. Isn't that right?
What's this then?
Ted, we can't read that. It's too small.
Oh, we can't read it.
But Ted, there is an evaluation resource which would indicate that it should be evaluated. That's all.
But the key thing is that, look, irrespective of what it says in Pathways or anywhere else, we all know you do a speech, someone gives you an evaluation.
Yeah. Well, you did a good job on it, Paul. You picked up on it nicely. The bit that you did give was interesting.
I felt obliged to do it because I thought, my God.
Yeah, but you see what happened to me. What happened to me was that there was supposed to be somebody else doing that speech as well. There was somebody else supposed to be doing number 2 speech, and that fell through. And all this happened fairly quickly that I didn't have time to ask somebody to do a speech. So I said, rather than take the second speech out, I'll do this speech. And that's why I had it at 3 minutes, because there wasn't a lot of rehearsal on it.
You did a great speech. I thought it was a lovely, lovely, lovely speech.
Yeah, I just had a quick read of some of the objectives.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
thanks for that.
The key thing was that it was a very, I was going to ask you because, I didn't even start off taking any notes about your speech because the last thing that I hadn't got my own brain in gear. And it was only when I started to do the general evaluation, I realized that, hey, there was no evaluator. There has to be an evaluation. So I felt obliged. But anyway, the main thing is, look, I'd say every club in the whole world has experiences like this, where all the best laid plans of mice and men all come asunder. at 5 to 8.
And that's what was happening to me, because at one stage there wasn't a grammarian, there wasn't an air counter, there was no second speech. It was literally falling apart on me, because people I was expecting to come to the meeting just didn't come, and they didn't send on any excuse. And these are...
There were apologies, actually, by the way. There were apologies from about 10 people at the meeting. It was very impressive.
Well, I didn't see 10 apologies at all.
Well, if they were on the agenda.
Were they?
Yeah.
Are you sure they weren't the members who were at the meeting?
No, I'm certain, because I printed everything off.
Okay, right.
Ted, can I interrupt here? Do you know Dennis MacDonald?
I do.
An ex-president of Blarney?
Yes.
Well, he's
member of Talking Heads.
Okay, he was listening. I don't know if he still is.
Oh, Dennis is a lovely fella. Paul, you know Dennis.
He says,
can we go on and do the last? Can we do the last episode?
Yeah, let me just finish this. As the ex-president of Blarney, the original idea was the gift of the gab, as Blarney was based in Moore's Hotel in the city.
That's right.
So gift of the gab. I mean, it's no good now, because Mary Walsh has stolen that name for keeps. The gab.
The gab, yeah.
So the gift of the gab, Toastmasters, wouldn't really.
And is that then how it was broken down to Blarney?
That's what Dennis is saying was the original name they thought of for Blarney Club.
Oh, that's very interesting.
It's very interesting.
Because now they were all. I think originally when the club was set up, it was inside
Well, he says
the Imperial Hotel.
He says Moore's Hotel in the city.
Yeah, it was in Moore's Hotel as well. But I think the original one that was set up in 1973 or 75 was in the Imperial Hotel.
Okay.
I wonder.
And then they got a better deal in Moore's Hotel, so they moved over there.
Right, let's press on.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, one last thought on Blarney. I wonder, would it be better if the club was called the Blarney Stone Club? Anyway.
Yeah, it's a thought. Okay,
last part. Moira, you're on. Yeah?
I think so. Are you going to bring us in?
Ted will introduce you, will he? Ted, will you?
Yeah, I will. I'd be delighted to introduce Moira.
Okay, let's go for it then. 3, 2, 1, go.
Welcome, Toastmasters, to our final segment of this week's offering from the talk show for talkers. And Moira is the person who anchors this particular segment. And this evening, what she's going to be telling us, she's going to be talking to us about vocal variety.
Thank you very much, Ted. Vocal variety. What on earth is that? Well, it's a lot more than you might actually think. You see, what we think of in terms of vocal variety, especially the way that it's put to us in the early days of Toastmasters, at least in the old program, was that it's mainly about giving expression and raising your voice up and down and so on. But it is a lot more. And I'm going to give you 6 different things which you need to think of when talking about vocal variety. And let's start off with the first one, volume. You can be very soft or you can be very loud. And either of those on their own can be a problem. Another significant problem for some people is dropping off at the end of sentences so that you don't hear everything that's being said. Alternatively, it can be that you're just too even. There is not enough variety in the volume. Now, if you listen to a good speaker, there is quite a range of soft but not too soft and loud but not too loud. And it's always in keeping with what is actually being said. It's resonant. It's with the words being spoken. And resonance is something we're going to come on to later. Okay, the second thing, pitch. Pitch is a difficult one. Lower is usually better than higher. So if I talk down here or I talk up here, well, my voice is naturally deep, so I'm very fortunate. But many women have very high voices, and unfortunately, this is perceived generally to be not such a good thing. People are less interested in listening to a high-pitched voice, which means that somebody who has a high-pitched voice has to work a lot harder on other things, like varying the volume and varying that pitch up and down and making the full use of the voice. Now, I said lower is usually better. If you can put a bit more emphasis on the lower tones rather than the higher tones, it's likely to come over a little bit, or to sound a little bit more interesting. Next thing, pace. Some people talk very fast. Other people talk very slow. What's the best thing to do? Well, certainly fast is something you want to avoid as much as possible. It can be good in a certain circumstance for a brief time to make a specific emphasis, but generally speaking, you want your pace to be a fairly even pace, and preferably one where your audience has plenty of time to keep up with you. They're not having to think about what you said 2 or 3 seconds ago while you're saying this now, because you're talking so fast. Now, there is obviously a balance to be found here, and I hope that the way I'm delivering this right now is something around about the right balance. And it may seem strange to you when you're speaking like this. I know when I first started out, it seemed very strange listening back to myself to hear myself talking at this relatively slow pace, which is probably not much more than 100, 110 words per minute. Whereas in normal conversation, we probably talk at between 140 and 160 words per minute. And some people talk a lot faster even than that. But if you manage to drop your pace down to this sort of level of around about the 110, 120 words per minute, it's much easier for people to follow. So, not too fast, not too slow, but an even-ish pace. I say even-ish because if you kept it all the same all the way through without change in pitch and without change in volume, it's going to start getting very boring and you're going to be going to sleep steadily. So I think the main lesson on that is that it's not just the one thing. It's not just two things. You really need to be bringing everything into your speech in terms of pace, pitch, volume, and the next two I'm going to talk about in a second, resonance and intonation. But let's talk about the pause, seeing as we're talking about pace. We've spoken before about pausing, and I just want to bring it up again to re-emphasize it, that the pause is a very powerful tool in speech making. First of all, you can use pause to break up sections in your speech as a transition between one thought or one section and another thought or another section. But you can also use it for emphasis. Emphasis is quite difficult to do without putting some sort of verbal indication into it. And the normal way of doing it is probably by volume, by pitch. But the pause is also very useful and probably the most powerful way of creating emphasis. Resonance. What is resonance? It's often called timbre or timbre. It means the richness of your voice. And it's all about how you produce your voice. And I could probably spend a whole section just talking about this, because it is something which is, I would say, an actor would know all about, because actors are trained how to produce their voice, not from the upper part of the mouth and the nose, which is what I'm doing at the moment, but to resonate their voice through the chest and bring that up into the mouth. And by using the whole of the mouth, you get this great resonance in your voice. And it can make a huge difference. And this also helps with producing a lower pitch, because you can pitch. You can get the bass tones coming out of your voice, which otherwise can get lost. And the last on my list is intonation. Now, it's a difficult thing to describe, because it's a bit of everything. It's how you vary the pitch. It's how you use the voice for expressions and expressing emotion. But you do have to be careful, because there are also cultural things that come in here. And especially now, when we tend to be talking to an international audience, we were talking about this earlier, that we get many international people coming to our online clubs now, whom we would never have seen before. And you may have Australians or Americans coming to your club where it is the normal thing in their speech for their pitch to go up at the end of the sentence, just like that, which to our eyes or our ears can sound very strange. If you're talking to an Australian or New Zealand or American, United States or Canadian, I'm not sure the Canadians do it quite so much, and it's only certain parts of the States, I think, that do it, then you might think about actually using that intonation in order to gain a better connection with your audience. And everything that we talk about in terms of vocal variety is really to get a better connection with your audience. And why do we want to do that? Well, we want our audience, first of all, to enjoy what they're hearing. We want them to understand what we're saying. We want them to be able to absorb the meaning of what we're saying. And we want them to do it without realizing it, without realizing that they are being, in some ways, manipulated by the speaker. Because that's what we are doing. We are deliberately introducing things into our voice and into our language and into the way we speak in order to create a certain impression upon the listener. I see you nodding your heads, Ted. Do you
I thought, Moira, I think you expressed everything in that excellently. I loved, in actual fact, if anybody was watching this, or to those of us who were watching it, the body language just from your face alone got into tune with the vocal variety. And I can remember when I was doing that particular project on the old educational system, vocal variety, I can see all the things you were speaking about there, about the intonation and the expression. I could understand all that, but whereas I thought that the vocal variety was something that you brought in to make the speech more dramatic or more humorous, whereas you explained everything there about timbre, about resonance, about intonation, and it certainly made sense. So you gave me a broad perspective now on what vocal variety is.
Good, I'm glad, Ted. Now, Paul.
No, that was excellent. That came across very well.
Good. Paul, do you have any thoughts? You're muted. You're muted, Paul.
And as well as the many fine points you make there, Moira, I'd like to alliterate a little bit for a second.
Please do.
Vocal variety is a piece of alliteration. But let's just add verbal and vocal variety. Verbal and vocal variety. And that will bring into the picture the type of words used, the variety of words. There are short words and long words. We won't go into syllables here. There are short phrases and long phrases. There are short sentences and long sentences. And to also have a goodly mixture of words, types of words and phrases. That's a way of amplifying the effect of your overall variety. And variety, as is said, is the spice of life, is it not?
Yes, Paul, I agree with you totally. It was slightly outside the scope of this particular talk because basically I didn't want to make it too long. But yes, variety, here comes the wind again. Variety in all aspects of body language, vocal variety, and words is all key to becoming a good speaker. But that, I'm afraid, folks, brings us to the end of another week on the Talk Show for Talkers on irishtalkers.com. Do join us again next week when we'll be bringing you some more gems. But for now, it's time to say goodbye, and we'll see you again next week. Bye from Moira O'Brien.
Bye from Ted Melanphy.
And goodbye from Paul O'Mahony.
Well done, folks.
Well done. That was nice. Interesting. Are we finished on YouTube? No, as well, Mara.
No, we're still live, but I can stop the stream if you feel so inclined.
No, I just want to ask you there. I've been fiddling with this here, well, and you might have noticed it, or maybe you didn't notice it.
No.
But I just want to when I get you on screen here now, the three of us together, right?
Yeah.
I can see the three of us there.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as I move it off the bottom, as soon as I move it off the camera at the end, all I'm getting now is a picture of myself with all, and you're over on the right, and Paul is hidden by the screen that I'm looking at.
Wait a minute. What
do you do to get us back on?
Sorry, Paul. Ted, what are you looking at? Tell me, what screen do you have in front of you? The Zoom screen, or are you looking at YouTube?
I have a Zoom screen. I can see myself. I can see myself chatting. Down underneath my
that's because you are looking at it on a speaker view, not gallery view, I'm guessing.
And how do I just click the X to get out of it, or what?
No, go to the top right. What does it say? Does it say speaker view, or does it say gallery view?
Oh, no, there's nothing like that. And what I have is over on the left-hand side. I have all the settings.
What?
On the left-hand side, I have virtual background, recording, profile, statistics, keyboard.
Wait a minute, that's your...
Okay, what device are you on, Ted?
Laptop.
No, what you're looking at is the settings, Ted.
Yeah, I know that, but when I put it down in the end on the camera, I can see you and Paul now, and I'm looking at the three of us now. But when I take it off that, I'm looking at settings, but I want to get in and look at it on the camera as I should be.
Well, just close the settings. Just click the close button on the settings screen.
Oh, see, I was afraid to click that. I'm back now as I should be.
No,
I was afraid to click that because I thought I'd leave the meeting.
Okay.
How do I open settings again? I'll just go
down. If you can go down to either the mute button or the stop video button and click the up, click the up arrow, and then you can go to any of the settings.
As a matter of interest,
there. Yeah.
How or Paul, whichever one of you can give me the information, how could you split the screen so that at one half you're looking at a presenter and on the other half you're looking at a video? Can you do that?
When you share screen, you should see a little window of yourself.
Right, I'm after clicking share screen. Oh, that's disabled for me.
Is it? Oh, yeah, probably because I have I click on security. Share screen.
We're on live on YouTube, are we?
We are live on YouTube, yes.
Okay.
Well, who knows? This might be of interest to somebody.
Do you know how to do that, Paul? How to split the screen for Zoom?
Oh, yeah. There's loads of... to be honest, Ted, I don't bother with that myself.
It's on the share screen anyhow.
Yeah. I just do
Yeah,
The
that's
only
fair
thing I
enough.
put
No,
on the
I have a reason for asking
Yourself.
that question. I have a reason for asking that. Some of the teaching that I'm going to be going out with, I need
Yeah.
to have one half with the PowerPoint, which is a
Well, you won't get
video and stuff.
through Zoom. You won't get it one half you and one half something else. What you will get when you share screen, so long as you are only on a single screen version, which you probably are, then you will get the majority of the screen being what you're sharing, and there will be a little window up the top, which will be
Right.
you.
Let's see. For the presenter.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
But as the presenter, it will be the person who does the first aid for our company, and he wants to be able to give practical demonstration
Sure.
of how to do things.
Sure. Yeah.
And would that little tile be enough for him to be able to do that?
No, he'd want to. No, you see, you need to start using something like the open broadcasting software that I'm using now, which
No,
you can.
because he's done it for Zoom. He does it through Zoom for another company, and he said the screen is cut in half.
Okay, well, he can do that by having two Zoom presences, right? So he's signed
I'm not sure
on.
how to do that now.
He's signed on to Zoom twice,
Right.
right? And then
Well, he hasn't done it because he has less information about Zoom than I have.
Well, he obviously has more take because he's managed to do it and you haven't.
No, it is the person who's hosting it does that for him.
Okay. Oh, in which case they probably do have some sort of software outside of Zoom, which they can then bring into Zoom.
Right. I'll have to find out for that. So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I have the ability as yet to bring what I have in the open broadcasting broadcast into Zoom, but I know it can be done. I just haven't actually done it yet.
Okay, right, Jeff.
But one day I'll be able to bring that in and you'll be able to see, though it'll be
very good.
a bit, it could be interesting doing that. Anyway, that's it for now. I'm going to close down the stream.
Right, you are.
Thanks for watching if you have.
Thank you, lads. It was very enjoyable.
Bye for now then, Ted.
Yeah, I'll be on to you about